Better edit this to make me look good.
I'm editing everybody.
Otherwise, I'll kill you. And I hope that you're recording that.
We'll start with just your name and your position here at the dock.
Yeah, my name is Eric Buhne, depending on how you want to pronounce it. And my title is Community Coordinator.
And where were you born, Eric?
I was actually born in Victoria, at Vic General.
What kind of kid were you when you were... Sorry, I can get this right. It's right here. What kind of kid were you when you were younger?
Surprisingly, I was actually a very quiet kid, which a lot of people find shocking because I'm generally very social and animated, but I was a very shy, quiet little child that would play like RuneScape role-playing games at recess, which is probably not how people would think of me today.
Nope.
I'm always surprised when I meet people that are like really outgoing. I'm like, oh, you must have been quiet too when you're a kid. They're like, no, I've always been like this. Is like, how?
And then, like, when did you become more sort of outgoing?
I would say grade 5 is when I started coming out of my shell a little bit more. Because I had a teacher named Mr. McCartney who sort of, encouraged me. We had a presentation where I had to do like a presentation about Galileo, and I decided to like dress up as Galileo, and I had like Galileo, like the what's the name of the band?
Matter. You're thinking of Wayne's World?
Queen,
yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess as like grade 6, maybe a little bit quieter, and then I slowly started like making more jokes, and then I realized, people like when I make jokes, so I just kept doing it, and then I became what I am today.
So were you, by the time you hit high school then, were you doing like say acting classes, or like what kind of kid were you when you got older before college?
Yeah, like grade 9, I did a drama class. That was a lot of fun. I didn't really pursue it kind of. I was part of in grade 11, the drama teacher came up to me and he was like, hey, Eric, we're putting on, was it Grease? And I know you didn't audition, but I have a part that I think you'd be great for, and I don't want you to be offended by me asking this, but I just think you'd be great for it. And I was like, I just spit it out, what is it? He's like, I want you to be Miss Lynch. I want you to be in drag. And I was like, hell yeah, let's do it.
That's progressive for back then.
Yeah. And then in grade 12, I was Coach Bolden in the High School Musical. I was Troy Bolden's father. So they always made me play like older characters, but it was fun. I got to do like crowd work before every show for Grease. I'd go out and like scold all the attendees. I don't know if you found out about this also in your research, but I was part of like a fake boy band.
No.
In high school.
Do tell.
Ben's Brownies, because there was this one guy who could kind of play the guitar named Ben Brown. For a couple of years we put on like I think grade 11 and 12. I don't think we didn't do it in grade 10. So yeah, for 2 years we would do performances at the school talent shows. And we'd bring in some like German exchange students. It was a whole spectacle. We'd be throwing candy everywhere. We even did like a concert at my house once. There was like one of us that was good at singing, and the guy who could play the guitar left the group like almost after our first thing and didn't stick around. But we'd go around the school and like sing different songs to like all the different groups of people in high school. So I don't think people liked it, but it was entertaining.
What makes it a fake? I'm confused. Like, what makes it a fake boy band? Like, were you guys lip syncing songs?
When we would perform in front of the whole school, we would lip sync. Pretty sure, except for maybe the first performance. We did sing actually, like when we did our little concert, and when we would go around the school, we'd actually sing. It was like a gag. It was just kind of a fun thing to do. It's not like we were an actual boy band trying to make it. We were just having fun.
So it sounds like you sort of had an overall positive experience, and then.
Well. I had fun.
Yeah. And then, what did you initially study? Was it UVic, is that sort of the post-secondary school that you went to, or did you like go to say Camosun beforehand, or was it sort of straight into UVic?
Well, I took a gap year and I lived in France for a little while. I lived in Belgium in grade 11 for a little bit.
Talk about the UN internship you did.
Yeah, the EU. That was fun. That was in university. I'll jump back to that, but that was in between second and third year, I think, of university, which I was in political science. That was what I did after my gap year. And yeah, I worked with an organization called Concord Europe. It's like an umbrella organization of umbrella organizations of relief and development NGOs. and we got to lobby this like working group for the MFF, the Multi-Annual Financial Framework, which is just a fancy word for the EU budget, but they have to do it every 7 years because it takes like 4 years to pass. Because if they did a budget for every year, they would never pass a budget in time to do anything.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. Got to live in Brussels. I lived, in grade 11. I think I mentioned that. I lived in Belgium for a little bit. Then a gap year, I was in France for a bit. And then the year after that, I started political science.
So what was that like going to Europe? Like, did you find yourself, do you feel like a fish out of water, or was it?
In grade 11, it was an interesting experience because in grade 11, I was like one of 2 exchange students. So we were kind of like automatically popular because everyone was like, oh, we got the English-speaking exchange students. All the kids wanted to practice their English with us. So I was, I guess, a fish out of water, but in a good way. And then when I moved to France for a little bit, that kind of sucked. I was definitely it was just my friend and I in this like tiny little apartment. And our kitchen was like a cubby. And we had one room and we had one bed, a single bed. So what we would do is every night we would swap. One night I would sleep with the box spring and she would sleep with the mattress. And then the second night I'd have the mattress and she'd have the box spring. So you kind of like put your like joints into the grooves and hope that you don't move in the middle of the night.
Oh God.
And it was in Nice, and it was like, it wasn't the friendliest environment, in fall, so it was getting darker. It was not a good time, so I didn't stay as long as I was going to, like I was planned to originally.
Yeah.
And then the third time when I was living in Brussels, that was actually quite a bit of fun, because I already had a bunch of friends from my program that had also stayed in Brussels. So we'd go out and do stuff, and I had a cool job, had cool coworkers. In that case, most of my life was in English with the people I worked with. We didn't even have to use a lot of French, except for buying groceries or going to stores. But the main language in the communities I was part of was English, so it wasn't like I was even out of water, just swimming.
Then what prompted you to do like both of those trips? Like the motivation behind going to Europe?
There were 3 of them. Which ones do you want to ask about?
All 3.
All 3. The first one, I was in grade 11. I was sad after breakup and wanted to change, and my family was like, you know what, cool. We'll send you to Belgium. I was like, nice. And it also helped my French a lot, which is awesome.
Yeah.
The second one, I don't know. I didn't know what to do, and my friend was supposed to go with her other friend to move to France, and he pulled out a month or a month and a half before, and I was like, all right, cool, let's do it. And then the other time when I was in Brussels and university, that was because it was part of the program. I did a concentration in European politics on my major, and there were a couple different options on how to fulfill a certain requirement, and going on this study tour was one of them. So I did the study tour, and then the internship was optional, and I wanted to do it because I thought it'd be fun and cool and a great experience, and it was.
What did you initially study when you went to UVic?
I studied political science.
Political science, okay.
Yeah, I ended up getting a certificate in German language and culture, but just because for my EU study, I had to do European language, and I didn't want to just double down on French. I thought I would expand a little bit.
Oh, I would have taken the easy way out myself, but that's...
No way. Your university to learn,
What the heck is a food security organization?
Broadly speaking, an organization that works on, food security. The definition of food security, a good proper one, I'd have to pull it up because it's kind of long. There's the FAO, which I forget what that stands for. They came up with a really comprehensive definition. But basically, food security is when people have access to affordable, culturally relevant, healthy foods, which not everyone does. Some people don't have access to one or more of those things. Especially living in Victoria, we have really expensive food. A lot of people are not food secure, even though we have. That's a really big question. People have enough food and good food and can afford food and have it.
And then what brought you, because you're currently getting a Master in Community Development, could you just elaborate a little bit on what that actually means?
It's kind of broad. There's different things that you can do with community development. Basically, it's about locally based, generally speaking, locally based problems and coming up with community-based local solutions to those problems. For example, if you go into, this is an international development example, but it's a pretty straightforward one. Mm-hmm. If you have a community that doesn't have access to fresh water, you could go in there, you could build them a pump or something, you build them some sort of filtration plant, something, right? But if you don't actually involve the community, then one, you might not come up with the optimal solution because they might already know how to do it better than you might know, just some expert coming in and doing that work. And it also might not be socially sustainable. And I think social sustainability would be one of the biggest aspects to community development, from my perspective, is that you can have a solution, but if it's not socially sustainable, that means that the people that are benefiting from it are not involved in a way that will maintain that solution. So you need people to buy in and own that solution, and in many cases develop that solution themselves or in partnership with someone who's helping them facilitate that process, so that you don't have the same problem 3 years later. I'm passionate about several things. When I think about food security on the island, there's a couple ways of looking at it. One, like there's existing food insecurity because people can't afford the food. There's also, especially with like indigenous peoples, there's food insecurity in that there is perhaps not enough access to culturally relevant foods. Mm-hmm. And then if you look at like a broader time frame, the fact that we live on an island and we have most of our food, like 90% of our food probably, shipped, a lot of it from California too, but also different parts of BC as well, shipped from off island to the island. If there is a logistics disruption, either in the growth of that food or its transportation at any position in the supply chain, that can create a big problem for us real quick. And climate change is increasing the probability of such a logistics disruption across all of those parts of the chain. Every year that we don't figure out how to produce more of our own food and do it in a sustainable and affordable way, it becomes more likely to have a significant problem. When you ask me about like food security, I'm like, oh God.
Where to start?
Yeah. It's easier for me to talk about food security on the island because I can like put a container around that. And even so, there's some sub-containers, but it's easier for me to talk about, I think.
And like, I'm trying to understand sort of the passion or where the idea came from to go into that kind of thing.
I don't want to starve. I like eating food. I like living here.
But was it like a teacher or a certain class that you took, or I'm just curious what pushed you in that direction?
I had a couple things. So I worked with a professor called Jamie Lawson. Mm-hmm. He was awesome, and he's the one who introduced me to cooperatives. And I started learning more about cooperatives and how they can be used to create more like what I would call socially sustainable solutions. Yeah. Community-based solutions, because it's about democratic ownership, local ownership, local governance, and the benefits of local ownership. And all of these things together are really good for a lot of problems, but especially food security. So I started off with the focus on cooperatives, and then I took I think it was ES 200, an introductory environmental studies course at UVic, and it was all about the food system. So I got a group of people together just to sort of brainstorm what is the crossover between creating some sort of cooperative and contending with our food security situation. And that's how I sort of got started along that line of slowly brainstorming with this group of people that I was actually already working with on some other projects. There was like a referendum on proportional representation in BC in 2018, which failed, unfortunately, at least from my perspective. My friend and I, we started like an unofficial Fair Vote chapter at UVic called the Fair Vote UVic, and we campaigned on campus we had like a meme campaign on the UVic meme pages. It was pretty sick.
I gotta check this out.
Like we would table every day for a couple months. So I was bringing in volunteers, educating them, helping students with their registration. We sort of co-organized an event. We didn't really organize it. Our name was attached to it. So I can't really own that one. But yeah, we got a good group of people together that were really passionate about a lot of similar things. When the referendum failed, we had a good group of people together, so we wanted to continue working on something because we really got a lot of value out of that. Originally we looked at housing, but the project that we were interested in doing was like more educational and less direct action, and we wanted to try and build something. And so through conversation, we pivoted to looking at food security and food sovereignty. And that's kind of how that happened.
How did you initially get involved with theDock?
That's a fun story. So the little group that we had that was meeting about, trying to figure out, conceptualize some sort of food sovereignty or food security cooperative. We were meeting at outside this little back area of the cafe called Union Pacific near Chinatown.
Yeah.
And then fall hit, and as you know, in Victoria, it rained a lot. We couldn't really talk inside because it was too noisy, so we needed a place to meet. So my friend, I found this place that has meeting space. Do you mind going for a tour with me? I was like, okay, sure. We get to the dock. We were just on the third floor at the time, right? The person who was in sort of, I guess, kind of in Colin's role now, they showed us around, and we're like, oh yeah, it looks nice. Look at all the looking at the different meeting rooms. Like, oh yeah, we could see ourselves using the space. And at the end, I said, well, what is the cost? And the cost is affordable, but for a little group of people that doesn't have any funding, really any cost is too much. So I was like, that's kind of steep. And my friend Nelson was like, you guys have a volunteer program of sorts, right? And so the person, Nat, they were like, oh yeah, they talked about the DOCKED program. They're like, oh, so are you interested in volunteering? And my friend goes, Eric, you have some free time, don't you? And I was like, hold up, you told me to come for a tour with you. Now you're volunteering me to join some organization? So I was like, are you serious?
Did you have free time on your hands?
I was like, I guess I could, figure something out.
Why didn't he volunteer himself?
He didn't want to. He had time, he has time.
Yeah.
He just didn't want to. He was like, I think you might be a better fit, which is true. I am a better fit, probably.
Yeah.
But still, I was like, really? And so they interviewed me, and I joined, and then within like a month, the pandemic happened, and then soon after that, I was their only dock hand.
Wow. Yeah, I always picture this place so busy because it's been busy. Even when I started, it was sort of as the pandemic was finishing up, so people were starting to come back. Take me back to being a dock hand a little bit and just sort of your first sort of experiences. Was that the first time you'd done something like that?
Like what?
Volunteering in general, like at a place.
A little bit. When I was like 11 or 12 or something, I got a phone call at my home, and they're like, hi, I'm so-and-so with the Heart and Stroke Foundation. We're looking for canvassers. Would you like to canvass? And I was like, oh, I'm a kid. I can't do that. And she was like, oh, well, if you have a parent come with you, you can do it. And I was like, well, I don't have anything else better going on, so why not? So I ended up canvassing for them, and I was their number one canvasser one year.
So is that just dropping flyers off at doors?
No, like going door to door and be like, hi, I'm Eric. I live down the block. I'm collecting money for the Heart and Stroke Foundation. I was like, I got nothing better going on.
Yeah, I'm 12, whatever.
This is literally what I said to the woman. I was like, yeah, why not?
Like this or RuneScape.
Exactly. Wizards 101 maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. Might as well do both.
The Guild Wars, Heart and Stroke Foundation.
And then at what point did you transition to a working position here?
When I first worked for the Dock, it was on a Canada Summer Job Grant. And it was like right after I finished my degree. I worked here for like 2 months, maybe 3 months, somewhere in between that. And there wasn't a whole lot going on at the time. It was still pretty dead. People weren't coming into co-working. So there's not a whole lot I can really say about that position.
Yeah.
I was here.
That's what matters.
Security. Yeah, I didn't really have a job. Well, I had a job, but like there wasn't a whole lot to be done. Like I cleaned so much all the time. Because I was like, wiping down surfaces, so I was doing a lot of that. I don't know if we really had many other dock hands, so it was kind of handy to have me around. And then I worked in some different, food security organizations for a little bit. I was working with this one organization in the summer of 2022, I think. It was like 25 hours a week, and I needed a bit of extra money, so they call and, do you have any work for me? He was like, okay, well, we'll give you like 1 day a week. So I worked, 1 day a week at the dock, just doing whatever tasks Colin needed help with. And then the grant money for that job ran up, and I was like, oh man, I need a job. And I was like, hey Lee, hey Colin, is there like any way I could get a job here? And they're like, I don't know, maybe. We could really use someone to help fill meeting rooms or something. So I was like, okay. And Colin said, you should go talk to Rob. So I went and spoke to Rob, who works with Scale. And I was like, hey, do you have any ideas on how I could do some stuff with the dock? And he was like, how much time do you have? And I was like, go at it. I'm unemployed. And he sort of painted this picture of what could be done at the dock and how, what the dock could become and how we could get there. And based on that meeting, what I learned from that conversation with him, I drafted a job proposal, a little job description, little term, and I was like, hey, you should let me do these things and pay me some money, and if it goes well, then keep me on and pay me more, please. And it worked.
Can you just, again, repeat your official title and also sort of what you do on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, so I'm the community coordinator. I organize events. I, attend workshops to give feedback to people on their workshops that we organize them with. I do member engagement, which is sometimes, written communication. Sometimes member engagement is going around and talking to people, which is actually an important part of my job. Not doing too much of it, but enough of it. I do, I guess, kind of sales. I really like, talking to people and bringing them in and showing them the space. Highlighting the various features. I write my weekly email, the gaggle, that people seem to like reading sometimes. I help to an extent. I help run the space. I'm not the person whose sole focus is on the operations of the space, but I do that to a certain extent. I do a lot of different things.
A lot of hats.
Yeah.
Now I'm wondering.
Also, I forgot to mention, I've helped rebuild our community business partnership program, which I'm going to be starting to do some more work on that as well. I've done a lot of different things at the Dock over the past several years.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you because there's all kinds of crazy events that happen here. Some are some are more normal. Some are just wacky.
Woohoo! We love Eric.
In the best way possible. So I'm wondering, what's the most stressful event you've put on, and what's the most fun?
I don't know if I have a most stressful event.
Is it just sort of when you have 40 people come in for a seminar or something like that, when it comes to maybe volume?
I think the most stress I have with events is the stress of whether or not I'll be able to get people to come to an event. That's the one thing I hate the most about doing events is the uncertainty about will people come? Will they not come? I have to get more people to come. I have to figure out a way to get people to come to this event. That goes for a lot of events, not every event, but a lot of events I've had, that can be a problem. And so that can be sort of stressful. Mm-hmm. I guess I would do monthly lunch and learns, which I'm going to be rebooting soon. We had bring in 3 speakers and they all have 10 minutes to present. Then they have, prompts and then there's discussions. It's a lot of fun. But having making sure that, I have 3 speakers every month and I get the things done in the time to promote it and that I can get people to come in because I want, they want to share what they're doing and I want people to come in and have that shared with them. So I think the main stress is making sure that the people I'm partnering with on events get something out of it. Mm-hmm. It's not the actual running of the event. I don't find that nearly as stressful because I have a good team. That doesn't stress me out. But in terms of the most fun, the 2 that are probably the most fun are the Dock After Dark and also Sea Cucumbers After Dark. Sea Cucumbers After Dark. All my After Dark events, because the sea cucumber one, I got to dress up as a sea cucumber.
What was the event?
You weren't there, were you?
No.
Oh, have you heard about it from other people?
No.
Really?
Really. What is a sea cucumber event?
Okay, I'll tell you. Actually, the story behind this one is at one of our lunch and learns, I was talking to one of our members, and it turns out that I know her son. His name is Felix Morrow. He's doing a master's in something related to sea cucumbers, probably. Also, Eldon, one of our other members, he did some, coral reef mapping. The 3 of us ended up going to drinks together at the Drake, and Felix was talking about the sea cucumber stuff that he was doing. And he was talking about all the research and the content they had in sea cucumbers. I was like, man, we could make a really zany event. And he's like, I don't think anyone would come to that. I was like, I think you're wrong. I think a sea cucumber event, people would love that. He's like, okay, well, we can have a talk about it. So I ended up putting together a meeting with Felix and Teal Phelps Bonderoff, who I think is a Saanich City Councilor. And those 2 are the number 1 and number 3 leading sea cucumber sociologists in the world based on number of papers published. What we did is we had an event where they talked about what is a sea cucumber, what are they, what is their role in ecosystems. That we also learned about the illegal sea cucumber trade, which is a huge thing. Yeah,
I had no idea.
Yeah, the Yakuza make more money off of illegal sea cucumbers than they do off of heroin.
What?
Yeah, there was a documentary that Teal was part of creating. There was a section, sea cucumbers in media, where we even covered hentai. I was dressed as a sea cucumber. I read some sea cucumber poems. We had a whole set list of sea cucumber songs. And it was this sea cucumber extravaganza.
Oh my god, that sounds amazing.
And it was social impact, and we raised some money for, I forget the name of the organization, but this organization that they work with.
So I've just got a couple questions left. I know you have a real love for the art form of clowning. I'm wondering where that comes from.
I mean, I feel like it's kind of natural for me, and I feel like I'm being pretty tamed in this interview, but making jokes and messing with people is, in a nice way, usually, is a thing that I just love doing. And then one year for Halloween, I dressed up as a clown, and I was like, wait a minute, this feels good, this feels right. And I kept dressing up as a clown, and I started doing it in public. The thing I love about clowning is that transgressing social customs like playing with them, like they're putty, taking them and turning them on their head. And that experience is often humorous. It can be also unsettling because people use social norms and social customs to find security within social interaction. But I personally find social customs to be kind of stifling a lot of the time. And so I think, some of them could be good, I guess, and some of them maybe not so much. But it's not really about saying what is right and what is wrong, but just showing that you can play with them and that they're not set, they're not laws, right? They're things that we create through interacting with one another. And so clowning is all about revealing that sort of putty, made-up nature of social customs and making it visible to other people while having fun. And that's what I like to do.
And I want to just ask you about getting Erin to check up on a cat. Is it true you make Erin run errands?
I like the pun there. That's good. Yeah, I love getting my friends to do strange things. In my defense, I didn't think it was going to be a strange thing. I thought it was going to be a very normal thing. Like a month ago, when Jade and I went to the Co-working Canada conference, my friend Nelson, the one who was like, to join the dock, he had asked me like a month in advance, do you think maybe you could look after my cat at some point? And I was like, yeah, sure. Anyways, he never sent me details and was like, hey, I'll drop off the keys tomorrow. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, you're taking care of my cat for the next week. And I was like, oh, am I now? That's cool. That's good to know. And so I was like, I'm going to be in Vancouver, man. And when I was in Vancouver, I already asked Erin to do this, but I called Erin. Erin, she just moved a few blocks away, but she was like literally on my same block, but on the other side. For the first few months of her living here, I got her to go into my apartment, grab the key to my friend Nelson's place, walk over. We were on video chat, so I could show her which was the right door. And she gets there, and Nelson's 16-year-old son is in the house. And so when she knocks on the door, and she's like, "I'm here to feed the cat," he looks at this like random woman and is like, I got it." And she's like, "Oh, okay." I was like, can you give me the phone? So then I spoke to Nelson's son and just like was like, hey, sorry, Nelson thought that I thought I was supposed to look after the cat. He's like, nah, I got it. It was all fine in the end. But yeah, Erin was like, what the hell did you just make me do? I just like went into some random 16-year-old's home and was like, I'm here to feed your cat. And he was like, who are you?
Yeah, she's super intimidated, so I could see why a 16-year-old would be worried. Where do you see yourself in the next 10 years, or where would you like to push your career in a certain direction, whether it's managing this place or continuing work in community development or both? I guess what's, like, if you had a dream in mind or a vision?
So for one, in 10 years, I would hope that our Curbside Farms Cooperative, our sort of food security cooperative, I would hope that is well established, that it's sustainably funded, and it's doing impactful work. And in 10 years, I would hope that I would also no longer necessarily be running it myself or with my team, but I could be helping build the next project, whatever that would end up being. Roughly speaking, my vision for the city and perhaps the island and beyond is that I would like things, especially essential services like food, energy, housing. I would like these things to be cooperatively owned and governed, because I think it's important for the people that benefit from something to own that thing. Like, can you imagine if, I don't know exactly what it would look like, but we have like Cooperative, for example. Cooperative is a massive property management company, and they own a whole bunch of properties, and they have such a strong control over the market. And there's a few companies that have this dominant position in the housing market, and they get to decide what the prices are. Can you imagine if all that housing was now owned by the people that live in those homes, and instead of having a profit incentive, there was a cost savings and livability and wellness incentive instead? That would drastically change what it's like to live here. Even if it costs the same amount of money, which I don't think it would probably be, the quality of life would be different. And I want to have that kind of quality of life, that the dignity of communal ownership and governance across various different things that we need in order to live sustainably and happily. So I want to help make that happen.
And then how would you like to see the dock change and evolve, say, in the next 10 years?
I probably won't have a say in how that really happens, but I can talk about what I would love to see. I'd love it if the dock fill out all this, both of our floors fully, and also expand. Maybe we have the full building in 10 years, right? We're booming. I'd love to see more social entrepreneurship at the Dock, more incubators and accelerators and programs that are locally based to help locally based organizations do work for the community. I talk about my vision for a cooperative future. It'd be so cool if the Dock were part of that. If this were the Center for Cooperative Development in the South Island. If we had some sort of programming to help teach people how to build community and live in community and support one another in community, because I think that there's a lot that we can and will just learn from living our lives, but also it's been a while since we've properly lived in community, at least in the way that I envision it, and I think it's possible we forgot some of that knowledge and we need to relearn it, and I think it'd be really cool to have a place that is dedicated, at least in part, to facilitating the transfer of that knowledge and the development of that knowledge.
So eloquent. And yeah, that's everything. Just did you have any thoughts or comments you wanted to say? Come to DJ Club maybe?
Oh yeah, you should come to DJ Club. The bass, our subwoofer is insane.
Is this yours? Das ist Obergeil! This moose is gonna make this look really not cool.
I love DJ Club. It's fun throwing parties. I want to throw more parties. I love throwing parties.
You get such a diverse crowd here too.
I want to throw a clown rave.
That, dude, sign me up. That's literally every single question I had. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. I expected you to ask more insidious questions, but
No, I gotta keep it G-rated for this show.
if you turn off the cameras, I can tell you some interesting things.
Turn them off right now. Yeah, the cat was a sauciest one I had.